Okay, here we are. We are ready to start. Sorry for letting you wait for a while, but I just wanted to be sure that all our guests were able to join us. And now we also have the second camera connected, so we are ready to start. As always, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jacopo Kelly, broadcasting live from Bologna, Italy, our headquarters. I am in the special room in Gelateneo dedicated to soft ice cream. We were here also yesterday talking about our bib. Today the topic is the same because it's always soft ice cream, but we are going to use our P1. So a different kind of technology, or at least a complete different machine in terms of design, measures, and final product, and also obviously power. So we will see today how to play with P1. We will see all the components of a P1. We will see how to assemble them and disassemble them from the machine. We will see how to set the machine and how to change the parameters in order to regulate the production. Then we will see how to make some gelato, and we will take it out from the machine, making a few cones and showing you a few alternatives in terms of production. A few practical informations, and then we start. As always, it's a webinar, so you are not able to switch on your camera and chat with me or speak, but you can write down whatever you need or whatever you want in the chat or in the Q&A box. So if you need anything, just write down there whatever you want. I will read all the questions at the end of the webinar and I will answer to them. Second and last practical information, as I said, we're going to use two different cameras. One is the one from which I'm speaking now. The other one is the detailed camera that will be available when is needed. Okay, so soft ice cream machines. Which are the characteristics of soft ice cream? Soft ice cream is the one that I call espresso gelato. Why? Because it's not a gelato that we prepare in advance, we show, we display it in a showcase or something like that, and then we sell it during the day. Soft ice cream is done in the right moment in which we need to sell it. Okay, so it is there are no problems of stock or display the gelato and keeping it there for hours or days. In the case of soft ice cream, we just produce the gelato to fill one cup or cone or whatever it is in the right moment in which we need it. Why this is important? Because obviously the texture, the creaminess, and the characteristics of the final product are unique, are very different from an artisanal gelato. We will see today why, and we can say that it is a very interesting product because of its characteristics, but also because of its flexibility in terms of products that we can make, especially if we're using a powerful machine like the P1. Now, let's start having a look to the machine, especially every single part, starting from the top and then going down at the bottom, and we see how to assemble the machine. So I will move to the front camera, the camera, the detailed camera. From here, we can see the machine from very, very close. Here we have the top panel in which we have the buttons and the screen. Then we have the cylinder, the production cylinder. And at the bottom, we have the cabinet in which we will stock our base and in which it will be placed the pump. The machine looks like that, as you can see now from outside. So it is completely black and it is countertop. As you can see, it is placed on top of a table. In this way, we can move it, but in a classical situation like a bar,
ice cream shop or a restaurant, the machine can be placed on top of a table and stay there. As you can see, it's very small. Its dimensions are perfect to place the machine in very small places. One important characteristic, for example, is the fact that thanks to this dimension and thanks to the fact that the air comes out from the top, okay, the machine, again, it is specifically designed to stay on a counter without warming up too much the operator when it is serving the gelato, and without taking too much space where we plan to place it. Now, before having a look to the components, I just wanted to make a quick overview on the different kind of ice cream machines that you can find on the market to understand which are the technical characteristics of this specific P1 that is exactly the same compared to a P3. So today we are seeing the P1, but P3 is exactly the same. It is just doubled everything because we have 2 cylinders, 2 pumps. So everything is the same, but made twice. So talking about the different kind of machines, here next to the P1, there is our G1 here. And it is perfect to explain you that in the gelato, in the ice cream world, we have mainly 2 different kind of machines: the gravity machine and the pump machines. Gravity means that the machine works thanks to the gravity. So there are no pumps, no system that they pushes the mixer or the air somewhere. Everything is done thanks to the gravity. So in the case of a gravity machine, the mix stays on the top of the machine itself.
And from the top of the machine, the mix goes down into the cylinder in which the gelato is produced. Every time that I take out some gelato from the cylinder, some more mix goes down into the cylinder again. So this cycle is done thanks to the gravity. The characteristic of a gravity machine are that is very simple, very easy to assemble, disassemble, to clean also, and to manage, because there are not so many parameters, and without having a pump, even as I said, the pieces and everything else, it's very simple. The other characteristic is that obviously without a pump, the gelato that is coming out has got less air. So the overrun is less. Overrun in technical language is the amount of air contained into product, the final gelato product. In the case of a gravity machine, the air amount is between 30 and 40%. So it's very similar to the artisanal gelato. Why? Because the system is like the artisanal gelato. There are no pumps, so the gelato, the air that goes inside the gelato goes there naturally without any help. On the other side, so we said soft ice cream machines, we have the gravity machines. On the other side, we have the pump machines. In the case of a pump machine, the design of the machine can be very different from one model to the other, but the thing that they have in common is for sure the presence of a pump that pushes the mix into the cylinder together with some air. So it's not just an help, the pump, to push the mix into the cylinder, but it is also the moment in which we mix the liquid mix, and the air. Once that they are both inside our tubes, we push them inside the cylinder, and into the cylinder, the mix gets batch frozen. So the main characteristic of a pump machine is that it is much more powerful in terms of increasing the overrun of my gelato mix. It depends obviously on the machine, but some soft ice cream machines, they are able to reach 70, 80% of overrun. That is a huge amount if you think about it. It means that if you put 1 liter of liquid mix inside the machine, you will take out 1 liter and 800 of final frozen gelato. That's quite a lot. So P1 is a pump machine, as we said. So it is in the second group of gelato machines that we just saw, and its main characteristic is the presence of the pump. Sorry. So which is the type of pump that we use? It's peristaltic pump. So peristaltic is a specific system that using some tubes, and here I have some tubes that are going to stay inside the pump of our P1. We do not let the mix touch any part of the pump that is not specifically designed for keeping the food. Okay, so these tubes are plastic, but this plastic, obviously, it is a specific plastic that can be in contact with food. And this is one of the best parts of using a peristaltic pump. The mix is safe. The final pump is very easy to clean because I just need to clean the tubes. I don't need to clean the pump itself, so the pump stays always very clean and we don't need to clean it. And the performances of these kind of pumps are very high and even more important, very flexible. We can regulate all the parameters of our gelato depending on what we want to do and which is the product that we're going to do. So let's go back to the detail camera to finally have a look to the machine and start assembling it from zero.
So we will start from the cylinder. That is the first part that we always assemble. So inside the cylinder in this moment is empty. There is nothing inside. We start putting the beater. Now the beater is here. This is the beater, plastic beater. At the end of the beater here, we need to place this metallic part that helps the beater to enter into the motor. Okay, so very simple, as you saw. We just need to place it there and twist it. Okay, as always, at the end here, we need to put our seal. So we place the seal here at the end. The seal, the O-ring, avoids the mix, the liquid mix, to go inside the motor. So this part is very, very important when we need to assemble our gelato machine. Before putting the beater inside, we just need to add the scrapers. The scrapers in the P1 are very simple. This is a scraper. Okay, and we just place it here, pressing a little bit. So super simple system. We have 2 scrapers, 1 and 2, and it's done. So very simple to assemble. Once that we have everything in place, we just put the beater inside of the cylinder. As always, if we are not able to go inside perfectly, we just help rotating the beater so it goes inside much more easily. The last piece that we need to add here is the center that helps to balance the beater during the movements. So I just place here this, and as you can see, this helps to keep the beater balanced. So if I move it, it goes back to its original position. So it's a balance, very, very important. The rest of the machine, this part is over. So we can start assembling the front door. This is the front door that helps us to take out the gelato. First of all, we need to place the O-ring on the door. As always, when I have plastic parts, soft plastics especially, I use the grease in order to keep them lubed and do not be dry. If the grease is dry, it's very easy to break. so we keep everything lubed. Once that we placed the O-ring, we just place the door here in front. Very simple. To close the door, we just need to screw the door with the two screws here, one on the left and one on the right. As always, we screw them in at the same time, simultaneously, so we are sure that the door is perfectly parallel to the machine, okay? We don't screw on the right first and then on the left. We go together, so everything is screwed in perfectly. As always, we use a tissue or a sponge, something, to be sure that everything is really tight. And now we are ready to place the last part of the door, that is the piston. At the end of the piston here, we have two O-rings that are useful to avoid, also in this case, any drops of gelato to fall down from the cylinder. As always, having some seals, we put some grease, and then we place the piston here on top. Now that the piston is inside, we can place the handler here in front. This is the handler with this specific shape. This part goes inside the piston. This stays in front. So like this, and we lock it like that. Okay, so the front door is assembled. Very simple, as you saw. Now I was going a bit slowly just to show you step by step what to do, but I'm sure you understood. It's very, very simple. Now that the cylinder and the door are assembled, we can open the door here from on the side. That is the opening. And we start assembling inside the pump. That is the last part. Now, first of all, we need to put this piece. There is the connection between the cabinet and the cylinder on top. I will move the camera so you can see inside. Here we have the place for the pump, that is the blue part. Okay, we will put it later. This connection goes here. Okay, it is very important also in this case to put the grease here, and then we just put it inside and lock it at the bottom. Sorry, I just need to put the camera away. Okay. Done. Now that that connection is fixed, we can place the pump. This is the pump. To open the pump, we do like this, and here we have the space for the tube that goes inside the pump. We will place it in a few minutes. But first of all, we need to put the pump in its spot. So we just go here, and we need to find the position. Once the pump goes inside, I just twist it a few degrees on the right, and it is locked. So I hope you saw everything. Let me move you in maybe a better position here. Okay. So I place the pump here. If you want to take it out, there is a small gray pin here on the left. I press it and I can go back. Okay, this pin is to unlock the pump. So I go back, I put it where it has to be, lock it. You here the click to take it out. I press the gray pin and I move it on the opposite direction. Okay, so now we can open the pump and place the tubes. The tubes are the one we saw before, and we have basically 3 tubes. One, this one, is the one that goes inside the pump. The white one and the longest one is the one that sucks the mix, okay, from the tank that we place here. The small one, transparent one, is the one that goes inside the black piston, and it's gonna be the tube of the air. We will speak a lot about this. So to start, we just, as always, put some grease. And first of all, we place this part here on the top. Okay. Now that this hard plastic is fixed, we can place the tube inside the pump like this. Okay. And now we can close the pump like that. To lock the pump, we have this screw. This screw goes here, and we can use it to lock the pump. In this way, it won't open. So here now, if I try to open the pump, it is locked by that screw. Okay, so this is a quite important piece. So the white tube is free to move and is normal because it's the one that goes inside the tank. The tube into the pump is now fixed. We just miss the last one, that is the tube of the air that I was telling you now. This tube, if it is free like that, it would suck air continuously, okay? And then the quantity of air that would go inside my gelato, it would be too much, way too much. So we need to lock it and give the possibility to the tube to be opened, but just every once in a while. So we place it inside this piston. This piston, when it is like that, it's closed. But if we press it, okay, then we are able to place the tube inside from the right side. So here now I have the tube that goes inside the piston and comes out from here. This transparent tube is normal, that is open like that, okay? Why? Because the quantity of air that will go inside my gelato is gonna be adjusted by this piston. When the piston is pressed, the pump is open, the tube is open and the air goes inside. When the piston is released, the tube is closed and air doesn't go. So this pumping effect is gonna be adjusted by the machine itself. Later, I'll show you how to decide how often this piston has to be open and closed in order to increase or decrease the over. Okay. For now, everything is done here. We just need to put the sensor level that is here. As always, same system for all our machines. So we put the sensor level, we connect it, and it will stay inside the tank. Okay, so now that everything is done, we can put 2 last pieces. The first one is the cover for the sealing of the cabinet that goes here. Very simple. So the sealing of the cabinet is covered, and then we put the tank with our gelato mix. So here there is this sliding shelf. We put the tank here. And then I just need to put the lid close everything. Okay. So we put it inside completely like that. Very good. We place the white tube inside and the sensor as well. And we close. Fantastic. Now, to see how to play with the machine, we need to have a look to the control panel. In this way, we will see how to regulate all the parameters of the machine and be able to decide which kind of product we are going to do. As I said, it is possible to regulate 100% the characteristics of our gelato. So we can make a gelato with more air, a gelato with less air, and thanks to this electronic parameter, we can adjust also the product depending on the recipe. So let's move again on the top so we can see the control panel. Now, in this moment, the machine is in stop. So the stop button is switched off. And here on the screen, you just see the clock and the day of the week. So stop is always for stopping the machine. Gelato, so the ice cream cone, is always for production. So in this case, in the case of all gelato machine, ice cream machines, when we press the cone, we start the production. And it's just one function in that button, just this one. Then we have the mixing button. The mixing button is used for many functions, actually. It is one of the most used. It is the one that we use when we need to start up the machine. So to fill the cylinder with some gelato and activate the machine in the morning. It's going to be also the button that we use for the cleaning cycle. So in the evening or whenever we need to make the cleaning cycle to activate the cleaning, we will use the mixing button. Then we have the reset with the thermometer. That button is for the night mode. So whenever we need to put the machine in night mode, or even if it is not night, but in, let's say, standby, we press the reset and automatically the cylinder and the cabinet, they will be kept at 4 degrees Celsius. So we will have the classical storage temperature that will help us to keep the mix safe without stressing it, because we don't want to over freeze our gelato mix and keep it there maybe like overnight being frozen. So when we don't use the machine, we put the machine in stop and we press reset in order to keep the fridge temperature. Then we need to notice that here on the reset button, we also have a minus, okay? And here we have a plus. So these two buttons, plus and minus, they are also used to navigate into the parameters of the machine, to move into the menus, and to adjust some parameters when it is necessary. So they are our navigation buttons. The last button here on the control panel is this button, the blue one. This is in the design is the pump, and it's blue like the pump. That button is used to adapt the tube into the pump when we substitute it. What it means? It means that every once in a while we will need to substitute the tube that is inside the pump, because obviously it is continuously stressed by the pump itself. So every once in a while needs to be changed. When we change it, the tube that we get is quite hard. It's plastic, but it's not as soft as it is, for example, now that is already used. So before using that tube and activating the machine, we always need to activate this function that adapts the tube to the pump. It is simply a 15-minute cycle that makes like a massage to the tube to, as I said, make it a bit softer. So this is a button for a specific moment that is, as I said, the substitution of the tube. Last thing that we see here is this, that is not a button, but it's just a light, and it tells me when the mix is over. So when the level of the mix is not enough to make our gelato. Okay, so we had a complete overview on the control panel. We can now start to make our gelato and to produce, so to see how to activate the machine. So first of all, before starting, we have to set the machine. To set the machine, we need to enter into the manager menu. The manager menu is the place in which we have all the parameters to regulate our gelato machine. So we press stop and reset together for 1 second. And we enter into the manager menu. Here, immediately, you read HOT 100, and pressing plus and minus, I can regulate that value. The HOT is the consistency of my gelato, and the consistency is a number that goes from 0 to 120, in which 0 is a very liquid gelato mix, completely liquid, and 120 is a very hard and compact gelato. So given that, we can decide which is the target of consistency that we want to reach, depending on our personal taste, but also the recipe that we are using. In this moment, I'm doing a yogurt, so 90 should be a consistency that is enough to have a good final product. To move to the next parameter, we are in the overrun section, and here we have a number again that can be set pressing plus and minus, that goes from 1 to 6. Once that we reach 6, we go to overrun 3. Now, what is this number about? I will set it to 1. This number is about the overrun that we want to reach from 1 to 6. Obviously, it's not a percentage, okay? So it's not that if I set 1, I have 1% of overrun, okay? Obviously. It is a level, because obviously the final amount of air, it depends on many parameters, the recipe, the consistency that I set. So we cannot tell you previously how much air you will get. What we can tell you is, okay, from 1 to 6, how much air you want to get, and you will set it as you prefer. There is also the option 3 that allows you to adjust the overrun as you like. How does it work, this number, and so also the overrun 3? It works that we change the frequency of the black piston we saw before that regulates the opening and the closing of the air tube. So changing the overrun setting, we change the timing of that valve. The higher is the number, the more time the valve will stay open. The lower is the number, the less time it will stay open. So changing that value, we regulate the final overrun of our gelato. As you saw, I didn't touch the screen for 10 seconds, so everything was saved automatically and we went out of the manager menu. I just went there back to show you what is left. So we press again, stop and reset. And here we have, so consistency 90, overrun 1. And then the other parameters that we can set are the clock, the calendar, and the language. Here, in this case, Italian, we can move it to English. We have Chinese, Japanese, Polish, French, Deutsch, Espanol, and English. We can also set automatically a time of the day in which the machine goes automatically in conservation, and a time of the day in which the machine goes automatically in production. So for example, I can set, okay, at midnight, the machine automatically starts the conservation mode, and at 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you start with the production mode. So I can set that parameter. In this case, I disabled that function because I don't need it in this moment. So I can just work manually if I need to go in conservation or I need to go in production. Perfect. So we set the parameters, we set the overrun, we set the consistency. It's now time to start up the machine. To start up the machine, I just need an empty jar. I have an empty jar here, and I open the spigot to start seeing some gelato that comes out. And now, first of all, we need to charge, so fill the cylinder with some liquid gelato. How to do it? We press the mixing button. The machine says select mode. I press it again, and now it says beater and pump working. I let them work and I wait until some mix comes out. Here it is. Some mix is coming out, so I just close the handler, the spigots, and I wait until the machine goes in pressure. Here you see there is on the screen beater and pump that are working, and the pressure, PP stands for pump pressure, that is increasing slowly. So the machine works under pressure, and the pump is the one that creates that pressure. So now the machine is sucking the mix and filling the cylinder with some liquid gelato. Once that the cylinder is going to be full, the most important thing that we have to do is to depressurize the cylinder. Why? Because in this moment, into the cylinder we have gelato, but we also have some air that was there before, okay? We are not working under vacuum, so obviously there is also some air. Here we are. The pump reached the pressure that it had to reach, and now everything stopped, and the machine is technically ready to work. But as I was saying, before working, we depressurize the cylinder. So we put again the jar here in front, staying very close, and we open the spigot. As you can see, and as you heard, some mix came out together with some air, okay? So what we just did was to remove the air bubbles from the cylinder. Now, what I did was to activate the beater and the pump again. This is super important to remember. So the startup cycle is I charge the cylinder with some liquid mix, I discharge the cylinder, removing the air, and then I charge the cylinder again, because together with the air, I removed also some gelato mix. Our goal is to start the production with the cylinder full of liquid mix, nothing else. In this way, the batch freezing process is going to be efficient, and it will make a gelato that is perfect. Now, again, the machine reached the pressure that it needs to reach. So the pump and the beater is stopped. We can stop the machine as well. And now we are really ready to start the production. So we press the cone. The machine now is batch freezing. Maybe you heard that now also the compressor is working. On the screen, we read do not serve because the gelato is not ready. When the gelato is going to be ready, we will read ready, and we will be able to serve our gelato. Here on the screen, we also see the temperature of the cabinet. Then now, obviously, it's room temperature because it was open, but then it's going to become fridge temperature. And then if we press the cone, we see some more parameters. Here we have the cylinder temperature that now is 20 degrees, but obviously it will cool down very quickly. Then we have the consistency that is increasing, and it will reach the set when the gelato is ready, and that's how the machine understands when the gelato is ready. And then we have some counters about the cones done by the machine, the cones done today, the cones done in the whole life of the machine, in this case 1,400. And then we have some more parameters that are helping us, but especially actually the technicians, in order to check what is happening inside the cylinder during the production. Here we have the oven that we set, and then we are back to the original menu. So while we wait until the gelato gets ready,
what I can tell you is a few more details about the machine itself. As you saw, it's a simple machine. It's quite easy to assemble. There are a few pieces, but actually less pieces compared to other machines that you can find on the market. And then once that we have decided the flavor and the recipe that we want to put inside our final gelato machine, we can set the machine as we like. This allows us to be really free to make any kind of flavor inside this machine. And that's the real, let's say, secret of a good ice cream machine. When we think about ice cream machines, we always think about vanilla and chocolate or yogurt, as I'm doing now. But actually, the flexibility of a good ice cream machine brings us to a level in which we are actually free to do whatever we want. Okay, here I could start making soft ice cream sorbet, so I can make recipes with water and fruit. I can make, if I want, many different flavors like pistachio, hazelnut, almond. I can make caramel. I can make zabaglione. I can make tiramisu, matcha, coffee. I can really experiment whatever I want, having the possibility to regulate the machine as I need. Okay, so there are no limits. It's all about understanding for the product that I'm doing which are the best settings. There are not universal settings for all the recipes in the world. I need to find which is the perfect setting for the machine that I'm using and the product that I'm doing. Once that I understand this, it's very simple, the usage of the machine, as you saw. Now we will see how to take out some gelato when it is ready. Then, just to give you the complete information about how to use the machine, there is also obviously the need to clean the machine every once in a while. But thanks to the peristaltic pump, we don't need to clean the machine for sure every day, but we don't even need to clean the machine and disassembling it very often. Consider that we suggest to flush the machine, so without a disassembling, but just flushing it with some water. Now I will explain you how, every 3-4 days. And then disassemble completely the machine just once per month. So that's the classical cleaning routine. Why we can do this? As I said, because the flush process, the flushing process, it is super efficient in terms of cleaning, thanks to the fact that we have a peristaltic pump. So the mix is not going inside the pump directly, but it just goes through the tubes. So the flushing process, it is simply to remove the tank with the mix from the bottom, substitute it with a tank full of warm water. And then with that warm water, we activate the pump and the beater, and we start flushing the machine, letting the water move inside as much as possible. Into the water, together with the fact that if it is cold, if it is hot, it helps obviously to clean the machine quickly. We can also add a sanitizer or a product for cleaning. In this way, we don't need to disassemble the machine, but every single piece, every single spot in which the mix goes is going to be cleaned automatically with the water and the sanitizer that we are using. So the flush process is for sure very interesting for the daily routine of a classical gelato shop or a restaurant or a bar. I don't need to clean the machine constantly, disassembling everything. Then, as I said, once per month, but then it depends on how you are organized or how much you use the machine. You can disassemble the machine completely, as we saw this morning, and clean all the pieces in the sink, so separately. We do not suggest to use the dishwasher, especially with the plastic parts, because some dishwashers, they reach very high temperatures and they ruin the plastics. And then we reassemble everything and we're ready to work again. So that's the complete cleaning, the deep cleaning. But for the normal daily routine, the flushing is more than enough. So perfect. We have five more minutes, and the machine just said that the gelato is ready. So the production just finished. It took, as you saw, a very short time. I changed the camera, so I show you the screen.
Here we are. So on the screen now is written ready. As you see, the cabinet temperature is still high, but because obviously it was open for a long time. But now we are ready to activate the spigot and take out some gelato. Now, in this moment, I have the front door. There is the special one in which I'm able to change the nozzles for extracting my gelato. Now I will use the classical star. So I just put the nozzle here, and thanks to the screw system, I can just screw it in. Okay. And now I'm ready to take out my yogurt from the machine. So I just stay here in front and open the spigot. Here we are. This is our yogurt, perfectly frozen. As you see, thanks to the parameter that we set, the consistency is perfect. It's dry, stable, with a lot of air, but without bubbles, okay? So it's very, very stable. Here on the screen, once that I've done a cone, the machine helps me saying, do not serve for some seconds, and there is a countdown. So now that says ready, I can take out another cup. Every time that I take out some gelato, the machine charges the cylinder again and makes my cylinder always full. So I take out one cup and some more mix is sucked by the pump inside the cabinet, and it is put inside the cylinder in order to be frozen. So there is a continuous exchange between the mix that is frozen, that comes out, and the liquid mix at the bottom that needs to be frozen. Here we have another cup. So we can keep making cups. And if we want, we can also change the nozzle. So now I take out the classical star very easily, as you see. And I can put, for example, another star, a smaller one. I screw it in, as always. The machine says that the gelato is ready, so I can make another cup with a different shape. In this case, you see the star is completely different. We wait a few more seconds just to recharge the cylinder, and then we make another cup. In the meanwhile, you see the countdown that I was telling you. So we are waiting for the countdown. I don't know if you can hear the sound of the machine, but when the machine says do not serve, the pump and the beater, they keep working, and they are charging the cylinder. Here we open it again. Here we are. And we have another cone with a different shape. And also in this case, again, the machine is telling me, wait 16 seconds. So usually after one cone, I need to wait 20, 25 seconds in order to be able to serve another cup.
Okay, so this was the production with P1. As I told you, if I need to clean it, I can use the flushing process or the deep cleaning process. If I need to leave the machine there overnight to leave it without producing, but keeping the fridge temperature, let's go back to the screen.
We just, in order to go in the night mode, we just press stop like this. And then we wait until the machine stops. As you see, it says 3, 2, 1. Now the machine is in stop and we press night mode, the reset button. Done. Now we are in night mode. The temperature of the cylinder is now -3, but obviously it's going to be kept about 4 degrees, as I said, and the cabinet as well is still going down. If you remember, before we were at 25, now we are already at 22. So slowly the cabinet is getting at the right temperature, the fridge temperature.
So I think we saw everything that we had to see about talking about the P1. As I said, the P3 is exactly the same. It is just doubled. So we have 2 cylinders, 2 pumps, 2 settings. Everything can be done twice with 2 flavors plus the mix inside. So we get the 3rd flavor. I hope it was an interesting webinar. I cannot see any questions, so I guess everything is clear. And I thank you, as always, for your time and for following us. I remember you that on Thursday, we have the last webinar of the season about our compact Vario Icona. And thanks again. See you on Thursday. And we keep in touch. Ciao.